Guys are. So good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We can start by introducing you guys. What are your names?
My name is Ruben.
Ruben. Oh, I gotta talk to Mike.
My name is Ruben.
And you, ma'am?
I'm Gabby.
And you guys come from
Originally from Dallas.
Dallas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from here. I'm from LA. I grew up in like downtown area, pretty close.
And what do you guys do? What is your organization?
So basically, right now, we see a lot of need back home. We're both from El Salvador, meaning that our lands right now, not only are they being taken away by companies that are coming from elsewhere, but also our indigenous people are hurting out there pretty bad. So we created we created not an organization, but rather just a media outlet in a sense called Media Venceremos, where we highlight those issues and we bring about different topics, so we can help the source, and we can ultimately impact a lot of women, children, and then the next generation, help them be able to dream as well. So yeah.
So pretty much the same thing. I come from Cuscatlan too. We met not too long ago, and what brought us together was we kind of were realizing the same thing. Immigration is an issue right now, and it's everywhere, and we realized the root of the issue wasn't really over here. We were kind of like since we're both back home with everything going on, we kind of decided, let's take a different route. Let's see why, since everyone's trying to figure out how to make it sanctuary here, what's leading our people to even come here in the first place. Him and I, we weren't from here. My family personally never planned to come over here. We had a life at home. We had homes. We had business, and it was good. But because of circumstances, we had to come over here, and that's still what's happening now. So that's what led us to to create this between me and him. Oh, sorry. That's like what led us to create this between him and I. So we can find out what's the issue over there and how can we prevent making people risk their lives and come over here like the only option, other than staying at home.
And what are some of these big businesses that are taking over?
So right now, back in Sonsonate, there's a lot of companies, oil companies right now, that are taking the last resource that we have. Interesting thing about El Salvador is that we don't rely on those type of like technologies. So everything that's happening around the world, I was actually at Standing Rock for a few months, and to see that kind of things happen, me being indigenous, and I started connecting the dots. I reconnected with Cuscatlan, back in El Salvador, and I started realizing that the same things that are happening here are happening over there. However, our people back there don't have the resources and don't have the help that's needed to fight back this oppressor, and that's where we find, like that there's a huge need. So I'm actually, both of us are actually going back and seeing how we can help out, and through projects like Project El Delgado and others that would come, we'll do that and fight these companies that are out there that are trying to take our land and actually retake that for us and save our land.
What's the name of your group?
So it's Media Venceremos.
Media Venceremos?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So how that came about, there's a group FMLN in El Salvador, and that's the voice of los pueblos indígenas. So they started the Radio Venceremos, and now like we're more modernized and stuff like that. You get the news outlet through social media. We said, let's start Media Venceremos, and carry that same spirit that not only our ancestors had, but also those that are not too far ahead of us, and then hopefully we can inspire the younger generation to do the same thing. So yeah.
How far do you want to take this organization?
To the point where we'll actually not only help our pueblos and us revive the culture, because I'm Nahuapipil from Izarco. We're like original bloodline there. So I want to help out with solar, wind, different kind of technologies and stuff like that, especially with like the maras and all of that. I want to create safety zones where we can help the younger women combat these violences, these rapes and stuff like that. And there's a lot of, I have this little dog, and she's the coolest. She's acting up right now, but she's the coolest little dog ever. So I want to create also a program for dogs and kids, where these dogs will, eventually kind of help out these kids and make it a safer place. So there's a huge scope for the project, but little ones like Project Delgado and then others that come will solidify, the big vision.
And it's like opening. That's kind of like, we took this opportunity back home, although it is small right now. Project Delgado is basically just like a training school for a lot of the women who are victims of, like he said, gang violence, just like lack of accessibility to grow. So, with this, we'd like to just highlight the stories of these women, because I think that's one of our biggest problems with sorry. Our biggest issue over here is understanding. A lot of people don't really understand what's going on back home. Whether it's what's really the problem with the gang violence. Why a lot of people just kind of they get the toppings, what they hear on the news, and a lot of the times the news only shows what they really want. So that's kind of what we started, like, media. Venceremos in English means we shall overcome. So that's basically what we're saying. We're the media who shall overcome, everything that they're putting our names to, basically.
And sorry, I had a question now. Jesus, it's slipping right now.
Yeah, the dog.
Yeah, like it's okay though. No, it's has there been like a good following since you started the organization so far?
So we basically have we've posted a few posts on our Instagram page. However, we're working on different events right now to raise more awareness. A thing about us that kind of differentiates us from a lot of different groups or organization or anything like that is that we don't want to focus ourselves on like growing this to the point where we're receiving cash donations and things like that. We rather receive supply donations, for the different projects, because we want to be the true voice of el pueblo, and we cannot call ourselves revolutionaries or even activists if we're basically feeding the same system that's kicking us out in the first place. Because I understand the other side as well, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of like we wanna differentiate ourselves from that. So I hope that the following that will come are people that are seeking the truth, that are seeking not only the truth for themselves but our culture. And sometimes these traditions or these ideologies are so far deep rooted, conscious, subconscious, that it doesn't allow a person to kind of see the truth. And we kind of want to be that beacon of light to them and say, hey, it's okay to go this route, or it's okay to accept our true ancestral stuff and things like that, and not go based on like what the media says, and what I mean. So we want to be that raw truth.
Yeah, our biggest thing, I think, our most important, is kind of holding on to personally. Like we said, our family is from Cuscatlan, but our immediate previous generation didn't really teach us that. We kind of are finding our culture, who we really are ourselves. Finding each other and comparing. Looking into our history. We're digging our own work, and that's what we want to prevent for the next generations. Because we barely are learning or finding ourselves, let alone the next generation. They won't even really know what it is, because we're barely understanding it. So that's like our most important thing. Like I said, taking on this name from Radio Venceremos, what they did was they made a space for the people that didn't feel comfortable talking to the media, that didn't feel like the regular the media that's on every show and on radio was speaking the truth. So that's why we began Radio Venceremos, which is why this is what we'd like to do, create that safe space, so anyone, whatever it is your reality, it doesn't matter what it is, then you can.
I feel you. Now, does it seem like the majority of people that want to be a part of certain movements like this, does it feel like, or does it seem like there's only a surface that they're digging into at the moment?
Like as on a personal base, like on a person,
like a person that's starting off and they're not, they're doing stuff like this, but at the moment, do you see, I guess you could call them not surface dwellers.
Yeah.
Like people that have only dug into the beginning,
Right.
and, they start getting their facts wrong and stuff like that.
So I think, for me, I'll speak for myself, is the minute I started seeking truth, more came about. But with this truth came a lot of responsibility as well, because you can't do certain things you used to do, because now you know the things that, that you're not supposed to do. And then, like I tell my friends and everyone I share a story with about Standing Rock, it's like here I was, working working on a corporate ladder in America. Next thing you know, I find myself in like a teepee with spirituality at Standing Rock, fighting and finding out things that I never imagined. That was extremely powerful. So with that same awakening came responsibility, and this is the reason why we're doing this right now, is because I cannot just stay quiet anymore. So anyone who's seeking truth, the message that I would give them is keep digging, keep asking questions. Don't take things for what they seem on the surface, but rather dig deeper. And hopefully you'll find us there, because that's where I'm going, and that's where Media Venceremos is going, is to the core truth and regain that power that our ancestors left for us. Because right now you see most of their stuff at the museums, what I mean, away from us. It's hard to just get information on textbooks because it's hidden from us. Exactly. You know what I mean? So just anyone out there seeking the truth is, keep digging. And even though sometimes it may go against our own beliefs, it doesn't mean that it's not true. It just means that we have to work to do inside of us to change.
And to the truth seekers that feel they're being, or have you ever dealt with people, saying, no, that's wrong, no, don't do that, no. How did you overcome that?
Honestly, I know personally, we receive it from, families ourselves, even if it's our immediate family, which was kind of one of our biggest hidden, bump in the road. And it's another reason we kind of, connected, was because, we're not fighting only one fight, we're not just fighting the fight here, in the States. There's people back home who have lost hope. There's people back home that, still call us indios, that are saying, what are you guys doing? Están locos, just because they've allowed them to take their own beliefs away and, believe that their way is the only way, which is kind of, it's our biggest bump in the road. Like I said, we're fighting two fights, both our own people and, people who don't even really know about us.
Inner battles everywhere. Inner battles and exterior battles, And that's great that you guys are, at least pushing through it. You're being strong about it. At least all your facts and all your learning, it's coming from a genuine source.
Right.
You feel me? That's always good. Like me, I'm a truth finder. I try to do as much research as I can before writing music about it. Because I don't want, I'm not trying to put a false message to people or, portray a certain image. I want people to know that I really do stand for certain things. And these things are happening all around you, They're not just in the shadows because they don't really matter, or it doesn't matter because they're, a poor country. Forget that. It matters because us as a human race shouldn't be doing it like that, You feel me? It should be unity all over. It doesn't matter if, you're orange, yellow, green, any color of the spectrum, you feel me?
I feel you.
It's just unity. I think that's how we're all going to end up surviving and, making a better society if we, come together. You feel me?
Yeah.
But I got one last question for you guys.
Yeah.
What's your spirit animal?
Mine is the eagle.
Why?
Whenever I was at Standing Rock, every time that we would go to an action, I would look to my right, and there was always a bald eagle flying the same direction I was headed. When I was walking, looking for the Mayan elders that had arrived to Standing Rock, I was approached by someone that said, "You know what, mijo? Like, I want you to carry this," and I'm sharing this live, and it means so much to me because that changed my life. And she said, "Carry it, with me everywhere I went, because that was going to protect me." So ever since then, like the eagle has been kind of following me, and to the point where, like, now looking deeper into what we're doing back in Cuscatlan, it's like, you know, in our personal indigenous, like it connected me because back then the ancestral wisdom to today is what makes me, you know. So that's mine.
Got your wings, man.
Yeah. Word out.
So, well, I honestly, ever since I left, I came over here when I was 12 months old from Cuscatlan. I'm originally from Espinal, Espinal inside Cuscatlan and Cojutepeque. And when I left, you know, my family back home, the only way we were ever able to, you know, stay in contact with each other is just phones, you know, especially my abuelita. And when we would talk, you know, she would always compare me to a butterfly. She's like, because, you know, we just left for a little bit. Butterflies always come back home and they just go to make their home, you know, safe, you know, to go find safer space. And, you know, that I've always liked to compare myself to that. You know, I'm eventually going to go back home. Right now we're just, you know, trying to make safe space to go back home.
Thank you
And
guys.
she's normally calm, yeah, but today I think it's kind of like a little heat, you know. So
Yeah, it's really hot in here.
yeah,
actually.
so it feels
it's
a
okay
little
though.
uncomfortable.
But yeah, it was really great having you guys. You guys did great. I enjoyed hearing your message, and I hope you keep pushing on and striving for what you want.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming by.
Thank you so much.
Nice
Hey,
to
thanks
meet
for
you guys.
having us. Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back in a couple minutes.